Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Bad News Show. I'm Joey, only here in Wells, BC. And we have a whole bunch of new weather statements, watches, and warnings and things that have gone up from Environment Canada this morning regarding the province of British Columbia, because there is the atmospheric river coming into the south coast this weekend. Going to send a lot of precipitation down towards, the south coast and the island, things like that. Could see 200 millimeters of precipitation. We've been talking about this for days, so I don't think any of this is a surprise. But here is at least sort of the specifics now on what Environment Canada is saying. As well as yesterday, some of the thunderstorms that kicked off in southern BC were way more interesting than I expected them to be. And sometimes that's hard to predict. So, we did correct ourselves yesterday and said, wow, look, there's probably a greater risk of thunderstorms today than maybe we thought. And that's exactly how it played out. Anyways, that's the Bad News Show for today. Let's go. There it is. This is bad news. My God.
Falling out right now.
Anything could happen. Get on! Wow. I'll watch the video later. Ain't try mopping this. Has been snowing lightly here in the Caribou, as you can see. Now, you get this image sometimes in the radar, and you might think, well, nothing's going on there. And what you have to understand is that snow does not show up necessarily so well on radar. Here we have the precipitation depiction, which is sort of a computer-generated calculation as to what's actually happening here. This gives us more or less the idea that snow is falling, and the computer is aware that the temperature here and deduces as such that it's snow. Now you see here is our radar return where it's snowing the best here around Barkerville, and you're not seeing much there. And this is because reflectivity not only depends on the precipitation intensity, but also the type. Rain is more easily detected on radar than snow is. It generally reflects more radar energy. Consequently, moderate to heavy snow can appear light in intensity. Here is the battle board for today. Let's see what's going on down here in the province of British Columbia. So special weather statement is in effect for South Coast and South Vancouver Island. That's for Fraser Valley, Metro Van, Howe Sound, Whistler, Sunshine Coast, and Vancouver Island. Except Victoria, you're kind of outside of this. And the Southern Gulf Islands, the rain shadow should help you a little bit there. The hazards are water pooling on the roads, swollen rivers and creeks, increased risk of washouts, rockfall, and landslides. Power outages possible from tree damage due to winds. Remarks: an atmospheric river will impact British Columbia in a prolonged period of heavy rain to the south coast. Rain's expected to begin around noon on Friday and continue into Sunday morning. Rainfall totals are forecast to reach 40 to 70 mils in general and up to 100 millimeters along the coastal mountains. Local amounts over West Vancouver Island could reach 200 millimeters. Strong southeast wind gusts up to 80 kilometers an hour will also impact areas of Metro Van, Sunshine Coast, and places like that nearest the water on Saturday. The rain and wind will ease on Sunday afternoon. Let's head up to the northern tip of Vancouver Island, go up the mid-coast and through Bella Coola, up towards Haida Gwaii. Prince Rupert may be in there as well. Strong winds that may cause damage are expected to happen there Friday morning and afternoon. This will include Haida Gwaii, North Vancouver Island, Central Coast. Frontal system will track across Haida Gwaii Friday morning, bringing 90 to 110 kilometer-an-hour gusts. Okay, well, we got special weather statement in effect down here for North Columbia, Kinbasket, West Columbia, Trans-Canada Highway, Eagle Pass, and Rogers Pass. You'll recall yesterday in my forecast, we were talking mightily about this area, saying, well, there's a good chance there's going to be a lot of snowfall in there. Environment Canada seems to think that's going to fall on the mountaintops more than on the highway. I'm not so sure. Well, what's going on here this morning is it's -1 at 9:30 in the morning still. In fact, let's have a look. Wells, British Columbia conditions brought to you by Diggy's Diner here in Wells, BC. They're the ones that bought my new weather station for me. There we go. Now I'm on the right day. -1 degrees right now in Wells. Pressure is risen up a little bit to 1,002.7 hectopascals, and we actually got down as cold as -3.8 last night, so pretty chilly. So thank you, Diggies, for the weather station. So the question is, will there be more rain than snow? It's going to warm up as we come into the weekend. This is what happens is you have an atmospheric river, and it's going to bring in some of that subtropical moisture, some of that warmth. So it could warm things up enough that we will see maybe more rain than snow falling in the past. But I'm not so sure personally. If you're driving through Trans-Canada Highway this weekend, I would be very concerned about the stretches through Golden, and very concerned about the Rockies. Okay, North Columbia, Kinbasket, West Columbia, Trans-Canada Highway, Eagle Pass to Rogers Pass, beginning Friday afternoon, continuing through the weekend. Heavy rain with storm totals of 50 to 80 millimeters. Wet snow is possible Friday afternoon near Rogers Pass. Make sure you watch out for water pooling on the roads, swollen rivers and creeks, increased risk of washouts, rockfall, landslides on saturated surfaces. The atmospheric rivers taking aim at southern BC, bringing prolonged rain to the Columbia region Friday afternoon, continuing through the weekend. Trans-Canada Highway may see wet snow Friday afternoon before it quickly changes to rain as the weather system brings milder air. Rainfall totals are expected to reach 50 to 80 mils by Monday morning. So they're not thinking so much snow on the highway itself. I'm still not so sure. You're driving overnight. You're going to hit, like I was saying yesterday, you hit even a few minutes of that mix where the highway starts freezing up, where you're hitting slush and there's no snowbanks to catch you. You're flying off that highway. I mean, this is the time of year where, and there's something about the highway itself, the longer it stays frozen, like the stickier and grippier it is. Well, when it's just kind of, going up and down, it's kind of when it's at its sketchiest, right? So my personal opinion is those fluctuating temperatures are going to be, bad for this. So we got special weather statements up for the north. This kind of spills into the Yukon side of the border as well. So widespread snow accumulation of 10 centimeters up to 20 centimeters near the BC Northwestern Territory borders. This is the region's first substantial snowfall. Steady snow will begin Friday evening, continue into Saturday. Snowfall totals during the period expected to be widespread 10 centimeters, but could see 20 centimeters near the BC NWT border. Head a little bit over up the highway there. Heavy snow coming there. Now we'll take a little drive over towards just south of Watson Lake there. And you get a long period of snowfall, 15 to 25 centimeters there. It could be Swift River, Jade City, Watson Lake expected. Yukon's first substantial snowfall, 15 to 25 centimeters there. Minus 15 to minus 20 temperatures possible by Monday morning. So a big cool down coming behind this for you. It's the same forecast on the Yukon side. Go over to Whitehorse, and you have 10 centimeters, maybe 20 by the Atlin and White Passes. If you go to the BC side, you get the exact same forecast, more or less. So that's all the special weather statements right now in effect for the BC area. And that's most of what's going on in all Canada. We still have frost advisories down in Quebec, but who cares about that? Still got wind advisories up in the middle of nowhere where 10 people live there. So if you're one of those 10 people, as you can see, BC getting a little bit of a break today, a little bit of a break. That was sort of that question mark yesterday in the forecast of, does that break kind of go most of Friday or does it start Thursday? Looks like it really did start a little sooner. So, hey, great. I could maybe get a load of wood done today and expect to not get so much done tomorrow. So here's our satellite image this morning. Here's our big plume of moisture out there. Here's our low pressure system. It's not very well developed, but it's supposed to be still bringing an atmospheric river. The bulging of the high up towards the north is curious to me, but we'll see how that plays out, because it really doesn't matter what it looks like today. It looks like, what does it matter when it comes to shore? So down to 991 necessarily on Friday. But yeah, not digging in until it gets right to the coast. And then when it gets right to the coast, the storm seems to dig in pretty hard, and it sort of comes up out of nowhere with all this extra energy. So we'll have a look at how that plays out again. I mean, we watched this yesterday, but here's your second look, because now you can see those strong winds going up the channel there. It's going to be slamming into Haida Gwaii, up Vancouver Island. I'm sure if you're watching storms on Tofino Coast on Friday, you're going to see some pretty awesome action. You're going to have that main band of rain come through, but by the time you get to Friday afternoon, it looks like maybe all of BC will be sitting in the snow more than I expected. So, we'll see. We'll see how much time I get tomorrow to actually get anything done. Man, that south coast really getting slammed hard, really getting slammed down through Vancouver Island. Northern BC taking a lot of snow. That's where some of our 15, 20 centimeters are. Here's that transition. And, Environment Canada has kind of a different opinion here. So I'm not sure about their forecast. It says quickly changing to rain. Well, here we are at 6 p.m. on Friday, and we got Revelstoke at 1 degrees. Well, you go a little bit further up into the mountains, you're probably going to see that 1 degrees get a touch cooler. I think you're going to see more snow in the mountains driving through there than maybe Environment Canada is letting on. So that was Friday at 4 p.m. So you go to 5 p.m. You still looks like a lot of snow possible down there. Revelstoke sitting at 1 degrees. I mean, if you go 1,000 feet up into the pass, I can't imagine you're going to be seeing rain falling still at that time. So I'm concerned. Now, here is something crazy. 45 mils per a 3-hour time period. That is absolutely ridiculous rainfall totals. Okay, so now we're looking at a lot more rain targeting into places where people live, and then you see the snowfall still expected to be going on through the night. So, Environment Canada has given a special weather statement saying, look for rain there. I'm telling you, I would be wary of the fact that there could be a lot of snow. And look at how that AR really channels in, taking it on the chin. So I'm concerned about flooding even in the Abbotsford area and places like that again, because you see some of that extreme rainfall total is coming straight into Vancouver. 33 mils over it, so 10 mils an hour. I mean, that is really coming down, man. That is exceptional rainfall. That's ugly rain. That's more rain than I can handle. That's why I live up in the mountains here. I prefer straight up mountain living. But that's why we call it an atmospheric river, folks. Look at that big long bend, that big long channel just flaring up towards the coast. And we see by Saturday morning, sitting there more and more stalled in that location. So I'm really concerned for what could be flooding potential. However, the Forecast Center, BC River Forecast Center, has no flood advisories or notifications. So that may be just me being a little extra cautious, but I do recall last time when we had 2021, the big atmospheric river came, I was the only one for a few days ahead of time saying, oh, this doesn't look right, and if you have a forecast that's saying that it could be landslides and things like that, expect that there's probably going to be some localized flooding as well, where we're going to see an Abbotsford 2021 event again. Yeah, I wasn't willing to predict that at the time, let alone predict that now. No, but I did say we are at risk of these things at that time. I didn't give specifics because I don't know exactly how these things are going to play out. No one actually does, right? We're trying our best here. If we only have one solid day of heavy rain, okay, but it looks like Sunday is going to sort of have a repeat as well before it moves out, and we're going to have the interior taking a lot of snow up in the hills, even though maybe the Revelstoke area is going to get slammed by more and more of this rain as we get deeper in the weekend. You can see there's a big temperature difference expected Sunday. Here we are at 2000 hours. That's 8 p.m. Vernon's at 11 degrees. Prince George at 1 degree. So you can see a real spread of temperatures. And if we get further enough north, Watson Lake's at 9. So there's that descending cold Arctic air, and you can see up in the Yukon, up in the Mackenzie Mountains there, minus 18. If you go over the Richardson sides, maybe a little less cold. You go up into the Elias sort of ranges, some of the big mountains there in BC, you're talking close to 20 below as well, and even in northern BC. Could see minus 18s, minus 15s, things like that up at the top of the province. When these storms come through, often what it does is it reforms a low on the other side of the mountain. So now we're looking at the possibility of that Alberta Clipper forming on Sunday, Monday-ish. And what does an Alberta Clipper tend to do? And this is what happens is we get the warm-up happens so often when BC gets bad weather on the Alberta side, right? Because this low is drawing up warm energy as it spins counterclockwise. So it's bringing up weather from the south that we are not lucky enough to experience here in Wells. And that cold air really taking over on Monday. And you can see most of our weather is played out by then. And we start to see it move on out as that high pressure takes over. What is that high pressure going to do, though, when it takes over? It's going to drop our temperatures right down. So we're looking at Tuesday at seeing some cooler and cooler temperatures here at 5 in the afternoon, and most of the province is still sitting below zero. So by the time this plays out, say we'll go to Monday midnight and see where it plays out, you can see Coast Mountains getting 190, 180 mils of rain, maybe even higher in the Vancouver Island, up to maybe even 300 in places, 250, not out of the question. Revelstoke area, going to be taking some big rain up into the Columbias as well, right? Big rain up along the coast and even through the interior BC. Most of us seeing a little bit of rain, maybe 20, 30 mils. So this atmospheric river is going to drive a fair bit of precip, and it's also going to mean large snowfall totals. So here's what I'm talking about. Some of these snowfall totals along Rogers Pass, they're saying 36, 37, 35s. Go to HRRR model, it's got nothing. Go to GFS, saying 28. Go to the Canadian model, HRDPS, it says nothing. Go to Icon, 31 centimeters. So I don't know, man. Environment Canada's got its own kind of ideas as to what's going to go on up there. Somebody is going to get unlucky. They're going to come through that pass, and they're going to go through there. They're going to go through Jasper. They're going to go through the Duffy. They're going to go through some of these places. Going to go down to Bella Coola and pretty much everywhere except for the southern run of the BC highways. You're going to be running into that chance of snow this weekend. And we know how strong that wind's going to be. There's already ships hitting 50 kilometers an hour out there out in the ocean. Sure. And we come into Friday afternoon. How strong are these winds going to be? Probably some of these stronger gusts hitting up towards 80, 100 kilometers an hour plus. We'll be watching for this up the straight. Gusts 100 kilometers an hour and more are completely reasonable to expect. Now just have a look at some of the images from yesterday's thunderstorms in BC. There were some very, very strong thunderstorms that went through the south. I mean, look at this thing. This thing is jacked. I would be quite nervous if I was on a boat and seeing that out there. That looks mesocyclonic to me. It would not surprise me at all if that's the kind of thing where a tornado would drop itself down, right? So, I mean, look at the hail that came there. Got a bit of a hail burst that happened there in Prince George yesterday. Some of these storms yesterday afternoon after they went into the Kootenays, but produced a lot of lightning there. Some very, very strong storms as well. And South Caribou as well. We had a few flashes of lightning in the Wells area, but nothing too exciting. Go down to the Princeton region. Man, totally apocalyptic skies. Great photo. Penticton got just slammed with hail. I mean, look at the massive hail. So that's Oliver that Caitlin lives in. And still, excellent photos. And you can tell these are very, very aggressive thunderstorms, very aggressive undulating skies. Here we are on the Barkerville Highway, just down the road from me here. And just like me, they have their firewood all on the ground, getting snowed on. They got some balsam there. It burns. I sometimes collect balsam. I do not judge. Here's Penticton as the storm approached. Thank you, Marisa McDonald, for this short video. Teresa Taylor's photo from Penticton. Very aggressive thunderstorm. Like I say, I really saw on radar things that looked to me like they were rotating. We have images like this that came from Big White area. Oliver, I got circled here at this time. So you can see that storm came through the region. Something was going on here. You're a little bit out of radar reach at this point, and you're down in behind some of the bigger hills. So you don't get a very good radar feed. So my experience is when you see something like that down there, it obviously doesn't seem that bad of a big deal, but it's probably stronger than you're seeing on radar. And generally, I know now when I see an image like that on radar in that region to call stronger than you might expect. Here's Claire Ellis's video getting slammed with hail, thunder, and lightning, October 16th. Nice car there. That's a pretty old school Toyota Camry, I think, with probably 600,000 kilometers on the thing. Andrea Fossum there has all kinds of pictures of hail on a roof. And more or less, that just gives you a clear picture of the fact that what's coming into the province is more aggressive. There's a colder drop in temperature. There's more precipitation and warmth pushing up against it. There's more clash. There was more anger in the weather yesterday than maybe we could easily have predicted for. And we know that this atmospheric river coming in this weekend is going to dump a deluge on British Columbia. Everyone's going to see some of this precipitation. I've been talking about it for days and days and days. It's finally here, folks. It's coming tomorrow. Stay dry, be safe. If you have travel plans, make sure that you are aware of the conditions on the highway, whether for snow or for rock slide. Coffee gives me hiccups. Rock slides, landfalls, things that may shut down highways, things that could interrupt travel and such. Okay, I think that's the bad news show for today, everybody. I'm looking for a new sponsor. Though my old sponsor, Tim Conrad, is going to be on the Meteorological Report tonight, so make sure you check into the YouTube channel here at 6:30 p.m. for my show with Frankie McDonald, meteorologist Mark, and Brandon, and everybody on the crew. Going to be another great show. Tim Conrad's got lots of awesome things to talk to you about. I totally need support here in the channel. I still got the sock on. People have to understand that it's a 400-kilometer round trip to go to Longamakwe. Someone said, well, I heard they deliver. They don't deliver. They won't come all the way out to the mountains. 400-kilometer round trip to give me a sock to put on my mic. So feel free to send me stuff. I could use help. I could use money. I could use things. I like things, like that. I could use a better microphone. I mean, an SM58 is great for a concert because it's very directional. It means you can talk right into it. And if I'm back here, it's not hearing so much. So then That's great. You're not picking up the other sounds of the band. You're not picking up the audience sounds and that. Well, I'm the only one in the room here. It would be awesome to have a microphone that more reflected that. But that's wishful thinking. Anyways, become a member of the channel or join the Patreon and help keep me in business. I'm just a guy basically living in poverty up in the mountains of Wells. I've rejected civilization more or less. I just want to live out here now. I don't want to, you know, I've had some people say, "Hey, there's a job in weather that you could go do down." No, I don't want it. I don't want to leave the mountains. I'm done with the outside world. I'll go and fight fires once in a while. That's good enough for me. I'll go chase thunderstorms out there. I'll go to town and get my kids and get groceries. That's enough stress for 1 week. Okay, that's the show, everybody. Bye for now.